Chapter 5 Heaven on Earth. Wars will just fade away. People will have a hard time believing they ever happened. The whole last 10,000 years will be seen as one long dark age, a pathetic and ugly time that we will not even want to remember. Why do people that want the same things have conflicts? It is stupid when seen from the truth and the life. When people wake up, all conflicts will stop for many reasons, but survival will be the main one. In the past, we had to fight for limited resources to survive, so it was necessary, but now the opposite is true, and we just have to see this fact in time. We no longer have any reason to fight with each other, and every reason not to, survival being the main one. The truth and communication will be the key. The age of mankind, it will be relegated to museums. The age of mankind will be right next to the exhibit of the caveman. We must learn to live together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Martin Luther King Jr. Altogether now, all conflicts happen because someone with power does not see the truth. If one group sees the truth, but one group does not, the one that does not can force the one that does to fight in self-defense. This is why we all have to learn the truth at about the same time to avoid a big conflict. Most people that create fear and violence are of the beast. Most people that create peace and love are of the spirit. It is just that simple. Conflict will not stop overnight, but it has to happen soon, or we are going to destroy ourselves. Misguided people and nuclear weapons are a very dangerous combination. When I watch the news, I mostly see rich celebrities getting into trouble and people that revert back to their primitive animal self doing something horrible to someone. These things just help hide the monster that is really destroying us. Before you can do the right thing, you have to know what the right thing is. People have to learn that the better other people do, the better they do. 69. GlobalTruthProject.com. The more money people have, the more they can spend on the products we create. This will make us wealthier, and our enemies friends. As Abraham Lincoln said, the best way to defeat an enemy is to make a friend out of them. We want everyone in the world to do better and have more money, because it will come back to us. Half of the human race is very poor and lives on less than $2 a day. If we just doubled that, they would have double the money to spend. They would live better, and they would spend double the money they are now spending, doubling the value of the economy of half the world. Prosperity will create prosperity if we wake up to the truth. Work creates something out of nothing. If you build a house, you have a house where you did not before. Making things better, makes them better. A rising tide lifts all boats. John F. Kennedy. A government's job will be to keep everyone productive. They will help create enough good jobs to keep everyone busy and earning enough money to live well. We have a gigantic nuclear reactor in the sky, there is no energy shortage. Why are we spending at least a fourth of every dollar we make directly and indirectly on energy, when we can have it for free? Are we stupid or what? You cannot get too much electricity, there are a never-ending amount of things we can do with it to improve our lives. We can make materials that require a lot of electricity to make, like aluminum, for much cheaper. We can use it to make super cold fluids and make superconductivity of electricity widespread. We can use it to separate hydrogen from water and make clean, powerful fuels for vehicles. We can make fresh water from ocean water and solve the world's fresh water problem. Abundant, free electricity will change everything for the better, and we can have it in the next few years. Why wait? We use the technology we have now, we do not wait until it is as cheap as oil. That is just a deception to keep us from doing it. As technologies to produce free, clean electricity become cheaper and more efficient, we just replace the older technology with the newer technology or just add it to it. Doing anything is better than just burning the money up. 70. GlobalTruthProject.com. We are literally burning up over $2 billion a day. That is just the direct costs for heating, lighting, and transportation. There are also indirect energy costs we pay when we buy products. We pay for the energy it costs to produce the products, and it is more than the direct costs. We could build a solar power system in a few years, and then we would save more than $500 billion a year from then on, so why don't we do it? What is wrong with creating millions of new, high-paying jobs in the USA? Yellowstone, we develop Yellowstone geothermal to make all the hydrogen we need. It has the heat and water needed to do it. We could build a system to make rivers of hydrogen to power all engines that now burn gas. The Yellowstone caldera is over about 100 square miles. We could build hundreds of power plants just like coal power plants, but we would not need the coal. We could not only make all the power the US needs, we could be the biggest exporter of hydrogen in the world in a few years. Instead of buying polluting oil from other countries, we could make and sell hydrogen. Wake up, people! If we can tap a source of free, clean energy, we should do it now. We should not wait until the technology is as inexpensive as oil. The sooner we do it, the less money we will be just burning up, and the less we will hurt the environment. Oil companies will make more money. We need to save our oil for making plastics, medicines, fertilizers, and other necessary products that are made from oil. Why use it for energy when we can get that for free from the sun? We are literally burning the most useful material found on the earth. Even the rich oil people are going to wake up and realize it would be in their best interest to stop using so much oil for fuel. They are screwing themselves. Plastic houses, new inexpensive structural plastics and molding methods will be developed. We will start making vehicles, houses, and buildings out of them. It will cost less, be easier to maintain, look better and last longer than anything else. It can look and feel like marble, rare wood, etc. Intricate designs can be molded right into look like the work of artists and craftsmen. Look at the interiors of buildings in Star Wars, Episode 2, and you will see how great plastic will look. 71. GlobalTruthProject.com. When oil is no longer used to power vehicles, there will be so much supply that it will start being used for houses, buildings, and other structures that need to be made inexpensive, be low maintenance, look good and last as long as possible. Environmentalists are always saying that plastic is not biodegradable and stays in the environment forever. That is bad when used for throwaway products, but it is a very good thing when it comes to people's houses and buildings, because the longer they last and the easier to maintain, the better. We want structures to last and not need costly maintenance. Termites do not eat plastic, and it does not rust like steel or rot like wood. Houses made of plastic would not be hurt in floods or earthquakes, and they will be so light that they would be easy to move and build. We can mold whole walls with the spaces for windows and doors molded in any color and texture. It will never need paint. Until plastic can be made fireproof, sprinklers and other fire prevention systems would be part of all plastic structures. Sprinkler systems don't hurt plastic like they do to wood structures. Green architecture, the roof will be molded to accept solar panels. Rainwater runoff will be saved in plastic tanks in the walls to use as drinking water or to water the roof in dry periods. A house or building could go together something like Legos, so every house will be different to suit the needs of the people living in it. Construction and transportation costs would drop. They will come in kits, and people can put them together themselves with glue or clips, so they can take the houses with them when they move. The oil companies will get bigger and make more money than they are now. This business will also last much longer if we stop using oil for fuel. The more we have left for other things, the more the oil companies will make, and the longer they will stay in business. A bonus will be that the oil business will not pollute the air. It will stop global warming, because plastic will not release carbon dioxide into the air as burning oil does. It will also stop our forests from being cut down to be used for building material. These forests also take carbon dioxide out of the air. Instead of beating on the oil companies, we should be giving them big enough incentives to make it profitable for them to do what we want them to do. We are burning up the ultimate construction material by using oil for fuel. Once we start getting electricity for free, most steel, concrete and wood will be replaced by new alloys of plastic and aluminum as a building material. 72. GlobalTruthProject.com It all starts with people being able to stop fighting, wasting time and resources, and seeing what needs to be done. The universal truth is the only thing that can make that happen, so defining and spreading the truth is the first step. Commitment. We need a president that will commit to building the solar power system the way JFK committed America to getting to the moon in the early 60s and the way FDR did it to build dams to end the Depression and build the atomic bomb in World War II, only we will do it faster and better this time. When people wake up, they will realize we can do anything we have the technology and will to do, and we do not need a war or depression to do it. The fact is, doing it now will prevent a war from happening from the problems using oil will cause in the near future. When we wake up, we will just do it. Why not let the power of the sun and the heat of the inner earth do most of the work for us? The oil companies will just keep oil cheaper than solar to prevent solar from being developed. That is why we need the government to get involved. The mass production will bring the price way down, but we do it regardless of price at first. What we really need is some real inspired, enlightened leadership again. Mobilized. Why does it take a world war to unite all of America and mobilize our manufacturing toward a single goal? It does because it is life or death, and we have no choice. When the truth is seen, we will see building the energy system is life and death, and we will do it. The truth is free, and it is the foundation of spiritual life. Solar power is free, and it is the foundation of physical life. Print new money, we finance it the same way we finance war. The energy project is so important and valuable that it would justify printing new money to pay for it. If we did that, we could start building right away. It would cost about $3 trillion to convert our country to solar power. We would get that money back in less than 4 years, with the money we are now spending on oil and sending outside of our country. When we print money, it just dilutes and devalues all our money a little, so if we do it, everyone will be paying for the new energy system, which is the way it should be anyway. When the system is completed, it will be so valuable that the value of our money will go up more than enough to offset the money we printed. 73. GlobalTruthProject.com. We act as if we are in a war now to prevent a real war from happening. Our goals. America has to do 2 things with all its effort. Create a free electrical power system, and spread the truth, nothing more, nothing less. Infrastructure. We are proposing to spend almost $1 trillion rebuilding infrastructure such as old bridges and roads to create jobs and stimulate the economy. The problem is that bridges and roads do not pay for themselves, let alone make money like solar and geothermal technology. We need to spend our tax dollars on things that pay for themselves and make money first. The solution above sounds too simple to be true, too good to be true, but it is not. It is simple and good, and we can do it now. If we did it in wartime, we can do it even faster in peacetime, we just have to be as motivated. We need people like General Grove who ran the Manhattan Project that developed the nuclear bomb during World War II to run the energy project. We could use the military's expertise in controlling manpower and organization by putting them in charge of all big public works projects, such as the solar power system. To see the complete section, read the present insights, Clean Energy Green Technology. Once Americans see the way, they will go that way. It is as simple as that. All the wars that have ever been fought, the rivers of blood that have been spilled, have been just for one purpose, and that is to create a heaven on earth now. All the soldiers that have ever fought and died in any war did it to get us to where we are now. Everything we have done, good or bad, has just been for this one purpose, whether we consciously knew it or not. If we do not do what we need to do now, it will all have been for nothing. The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of those who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. Albert Einstein. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, in order to assure the survival and the success of liberty. John F. Kennedy. 74. GlobalTruthProject.com. We live in a dangerous world, and we have to stop living like a bunch of morons just to survive as a species much longer. We have no choice. After we unite the world, we need to put most of our money into down-to-earth science and pure research to make life more safe and better for everyone. Wasting money on things that will not really help us will kill us. How can people think we can survive without facing the truth? It is impossible. It is certain destruction and the ultimate waste. Even if everyone woke up and we started spending all our money on the right things, our survival would still be a close call, but if we do not wake up, we will have no chance at all. If a lot of people learn the truth in the next few years, the odds are really good that we will create a heaven on earth. If most people do not learn the truth, the human race will be destroyed, so I think we will learn the truth. When you live in the truth, you work for the best, but are always prepared for the worst, because you know it will happen. It does not matter if it is a bomb, a car accident, or old age that kills you, you are just as dead. Therefore, the only thing that matters is that we live in the truth and the life and do the right thing while we are here. The truth forces people to look at the hard facts and make big decisions. Rule of the beast, the animals have ruled this world for 700 million years. We now have a small opportunity to change that forever. It took us about 700 million years to get into this position, so to not take advantage of it would be the biggest mistake we can make. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Plato. Comfort zone. People only want to read things that entertain them, make them feel good, reassure them that everything is okay. No one wants to do or face anything uncomfortable. This book is not that kind of book. This book is about the truth, the whole truth, because it is our only hope. This book is only scary and uncomfortable until you see the ultimate truth, then you will love what it says. 75. GlobalTruthProject.com. Spirit food. Most books feed just the mind, that is what makes them popular. Books that are intended to feed the spirit, like this one, have to also feed the mind just to be read, but it will never be as enjoyable to read as a book that just tries to please the mind. It is not the taste of the medicine, it is what it does that matters. You have to do something with your time on earth, and a spiritual being spends their time helping others. It is just what we feel like doing. The purpose of human life is to serve and to show compassion and the will to help others. Albert Schweitzer. Big changes. At this time in history, we have to make big changes, or the little changes we make are not going to matter. If we do not, we will die, and that is the biggest change there is, so we have no choice but to make the changes. Big picture. A spiritual being lives in the present and always sees the big picture. By big picture, I mean we see our true past and future, see past death, see past this current lifespan. The only security in life is knowing the ultimate truth. The right thing. A spiritual being always knows what the right thing is, because they are not deceived by the irrational passions and deceptions of the mind. The overman, who has organized the chaos of his passions, given style to his character and become creative, aware of life's terrors, he affirms life without resentment. Friedrich Nietzsche. The goal, to transform ourselves into spiritual beings and then to create a heaven on earth. Living with just positives is the goal of all life. It will all start with the truth of life being defined and spread. Everything else will happen as a result, so start spreading the truth now. Only the truth and the life can save mankind and create a heaven on earth. If not us, who? If not now, when? 76. Chapter 6. The Beatles. Prophets. Most people think all the prophets lived hundreds of years ago, but the truth is, there have been many recent prophets. Some have been in show business and the arts. Let me tell you about 4 of the most powerful. Living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. Strawberry Fields Forever. The Beatles. The Beatles themselves were like other men, but the music and lyrics channeled through them contained magic and messages from beyond the mind. I remember the first time I heard a Beatles song. It was February 1964, just a few months after President Kennedy was shot and killed. Everyone was in a funk. I was walking home from school, 6th grade, with a friend, and we were going over to a neighbor's house. He was older and very cool. He built drag racing cars in his garage and always had his radio blaring. There was a song coming out of it that stopped me in my tracks. On a cold and gloomy winter day, the wind blowing through my hair, I heard, "If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, just call on me, and I'll send it along, with love, from me to you." We stood there on the corner and listened to the whole song in silence. I was stunned. My friend said, "The song is called From Me to You. They are called the Beatles, and they all got haircuts like Mo of the Three Stooges." It went right through me. It seemed familiar and unknown at the same time. It was one of those rare moments that you never forget, which changes your life. The Kennedy assassination was one of them. I lost my innocence and the Beatles gave it back to me. I went from no hope, to anything is possible, and I was not alone. It seemed like it happened to every kid in the world. There was no shortage of great music at the time. I did not really like or dislike the song, it was just different, like something from another planet. I had never heard anything like it, no one had. It was kind of weird, because they were saying silly things like little kids, and had haircuts like little kids. Their songs said things like, "She loves you, yeah yeah yeah, I want to hold your hand," and stuff like that, which was strange, but it had a powerful vitality and joy. It got my attention. The words were simple and direct, and it seemed like they were talking directly to you, not just some unknown girl like other songs. 77. GlobalTruthProject.com. Before the Beatles, we were all into looking like James Dean and trying to be cool. After the Beatles showed up, around the release of Rubber Soul or Revolver, we quit wearing shoes and started growing out our hair. It was time to go our own way and get into life. It was the start of a long party for me and a lot of other kids. The movies Animal House and American Graffiti depict the way cars, music, and people were in 1963, just before the Beatles showed up. We were happy with the music, and we were not looking for something new. I am still into that music and hot rods. The music before the Beatles was the greatest rock and roll ever made. It did not matter, the Beatles changed everything overnight anyway. Their power was overwhelming. Nothing like it happened before or has happened since. That is what made what they did so special and magical. It was impossible. Force of nature. I am not saying their music was better. I liked the music before they came better, but they were better, it was the whole package. The Beatles were a force of nature, and all us kids were just swept away. It was a great time to be a teenager. It seemed like they came out with a new song every few weeks that was totally different and better than the one before. This is at a time when they sold single records, with one song on each side, they were called 45s. So in the beginning, I bought their songs 2 at a time. People that were not there cannot comprehend what it was like for a kid to hear a new Beatles song for the first time. It put a real magic in the air. They were very magical times. This went on for 7 years and took me from the age of 11 to 19. The Beatles were the soundtrack for my whole teenage life. I was blessed. I was too cool for the Beatles after the first year or two. However, I always knew the Beatles were there, being perfect, being better than should be possible for mortal men. They were like the gods of the 60s. All other bands in the 60s were just great musicians, but the Beatles were something more, and they were ours. Most people that are into music know the 60s were a time of musical kings. Everyone was great, but the Beatles were the king of kings, and that is why they were so exceptional. Anyone can be big now, back then the biggest meant something. Being great was the norm, to be the undisputed best took magic. That is why I talk about them in this book. It is not for their music, it is for the way they took over the hearts and minds of most young people when it should have been impossible to do. What they did was real magic. 78. GlobalTruthProject.com. It is a sign, nature set them apart for a reason. It is so we do not just think they were just another great band, so we look closer and listen a little better. There was an X factor to the Beatles, and everyone knew it on some level, even the adults and people that did not like their music. As musicians they were unbelievably great, as people they were funny and smart. They were the strongest voice of a generation of many strong, talented voices. They made the older generation look stupid and made us look good, they gave us real strength. I took them for granted like most people and did not know how special they were until years after they were gone. I always thought that some other band would eventually come along and be that good. No one has, and now I know why. They were not just musicians, they were prophets. We do not need a new band, we still have them. We still have their music, we just have to really hear it. Spiritual event, the Beatles' music was behind and powered the last big spiritual event. It was called the Peace and Love Movement. They gave it legitimacy, and that great Beatles we can do anything and have fun doing it vibe. They got it going with albums like Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper's, and ended it with the White Album via Charles Manson. What happened was not their intention, but their music on the White Album, Helter Skelter / Piggies, was involved in ending the peace and love movement in the summer of 1969. Hippies were not seen as harmless anymore. It happened like this: when Martin Luther King was shot, it started going down. It ended politically when Bobby Kennedy was shot. The hippie movement ended with the Manson murders and the Stones concert at Altamont. It then ended spiritually when the Beatles broke up. As John Lennon said, the dream was over. Most people felt if the Beatles could not make it happen, nothing could. Hidden messages. To hear the hidden messages in the Beatles' music, you do not have to play the songs backwards like some people in the 60s thought, you just have to change your perspective, listen backwards. Instead of their songs being sung to a girl somewhere, you hear them as being sung to you personally. You listen like the song is new and you have never heard it before, because you really haven't, no one has, not even them. 79. GlobalTruthProject.com. In the song Julia, John Lennon says, "Half of what I say is meaningless, but I say it just to reach you." This clearly means that half of what they say is meaningful, and the rest is just there to reach us. Some of their songs were obviously being sung directly to the listener, and others are just love songs to a girl, but most are both. They are being sung to a girl and to you, even if you are not a girl. They can be interpreted either way depending on your perspective. From the perspective of a teenage girl, you hear a silly love song. From the perspective of a truth seeker, you will hear a love song also, only it's spiritual love, divine love. Other bands are just singing love songs to a girl somewhere, but in hindsight, we now know that the Beatles were into something bigger, they were prophets. Time lock. Most of their early songs appear to be just silly love songs. This is what made it possible to get a spiritual communication to most people. They sugar-coated the truth, hid it as a love song, and sent it to the truth seekers of the world under the radar. It worked, if we get it now. It was actually created for now. The sign. There is a sign in their songs to let us know the songs are not just a love song for a girl. The sign is the word friend, which is not a way that you would address a girl you are singing a love song to. Examples: the song "I'll Follow the Sun," "Though I Lose a Friend, in the end you will know. Someday you'll find I was the one." The song "We Can Work It Out," "Life is very short and there's no time for fussing and fighting my friend." The song "Can't Buy Me Love," "I will buy you a diamond ring my friend, if it makes you feel alright." The song "I'll Get You," "So I'm telling you my friend, I will get you in the end." They will get us now. In that last song, "I'll Get You," they say, there is going to be a time, when I am going to change your mind. They mean literally change your mind, from the mind of mankind to the mind of a spiritual being. See the difference it makes? They actually say change your mind and make you mine at the same time. 80. GlobalTruthProject.com. Words with two meanings: girl, her, baby, honey, she, darling, etc. equals receiver. The receiver is female, just as biologically females receive the seed of life from males. Whoever is listening to their music is the receiver, because you are receiving the music. The word man, he, him, his, etc. equals transmitter or sender. The collective unconscious via the Beatles are the transmitters, they are sending the music and message. Home equals the present, God, etc. End equals beginning, etc. This is why metaphorically God is a male. God gives us life, we receive it. When they say you, they mean you. They use metaphors like religious books do. The two meanings for the word love are divine love, which means God, the present, total awareness, etc. The other meaning for love is carnal love, man-woman love. One meaning is for your soul, the other is for that mystery girl. If you listen to songs like Two of Us, Let It Be, and Your Bird Can Sing, Revolver, and Wait, the word or think for yourself, Rubber Soul, you will see the meanings clearly, and you know where they are coming from and who they are talking to. You will realize they are talking to you in the here and now. Some other songs where it is easy to see the dual meanings are the songs All My Loving, with the Beatles, I Will, the White Album, Tell Me What You See, Help, No Reply or What You're Doing, Beatles for Sale, or Things We Said Today, A Hard Day's Night. On that same album, A Hard Day's Night, the song I'll Be Back is telling us they will be back, a second coming, once we can see the true meanings of the songs. Second coming, they are coming back, but not as the cute mop tops we saw the first time. This time, we will see them for the prophets they really were and hear the spiritual and truth side of their music. It will change the world again. The power and vibe is still there, add the truth and the life, the present, your new perspective, and you have a door to the magical mystery tour, a ticket to ride. The long and winding road that leads to your door, they mean your door, your spirit. When they say I want to be your man, it means they want to be your mind, send you a transmission, inform you. When they say, I want to hold your hand, it means they want to connect to you, show you the way, be with you, etc. When they say come on, they mean come on like a light, wake up. 81. GlobalTruthProject.com. Listen to Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except Me and My Monkey on the White Album, and you will see what I mean by the words come on. Some of their lyrics mean exactly what they say, and some have hidden meanings like all religious material. Sometimes you have to listen to them repeatedly until you get it. I hear something different every time I listen to them. The album names have dual meanings and spiritual connotations: Revolver, Rubber Soul, Hard Day's Night, Magical Mystery Tour, Let It Be, Abbey Road, etc. They did not write the songs with those intentions. The Beatles say they were just writing a love song to a girl, at least that has been their cover story. I believe they did not know the spiritual content of their songs until after they were written, that they came out of the air just as they say. They came from the collective unconscious or Holy Spirit if you prefer, not their own minds. That is how the Holy Spirit/collective unconscious communicates. You usually do not know it at first, but you usually get it before anyone else, but not always. Example, Paul says the song Martha My Dear was written for his sheepdog Martha. John said Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was inspired by a drawing his kid made. Dear Prudence was to try to get Mia Farrow's sister to stop meditating and come outside when they were in India. Though it may not have been intended, there are obviously other meanings we get from those and most of their other songs. They did not know the truth. It is true that they do not know what their songs mean, no one could know until now, not even them. There are things in Beatles songs that go more for a feeling than a thought or message. Remember, things that come from the collective unconscious can get garbled by our minds, so you have to interpret it. This makes it possible for things such as poetry and songs to mean different things to different people. The early songs are more direct and from and to the heart, no mind, they get more cerebral in their later songs. Try listening to them from this new spiritual perspective, and you will see what I mean. A good way to do it is start with their later songs, so you know they are spiritual, and work backwards to their first songs. Listening to their music backwards does show you what they are saying, but not single songs backwards. 82. GlobalTruthProject.com. Most people think the later songs are more spiritual than the early songs. The opposite is true. It is the early ones that have the most spiritual content, but you have to know it to hear it, and the later songs make their intent clear. Their most spiritual albums were their first ones. One of their first albums, with the Beatles 1963, is the most spiritual to me. If you think the later ones were the most spiritual, listen to this first one. The song Not a Second Time makes a lot of sense now. The song, I Want to Be Your Man, is literally saying I want to be your mind. It is the Holy Spirit talking. Their music went from, Please Please Me and Do You Want to Know a Secret to I Am the Walrus and A Day in the Life. Anyone that has ever been in a band will tell you that what they did was impossible. The band that gave us I Want to Hold Your Hand could not have been the same band that gave us the song In My Life, and it wasn't. They changed completely. Changelings, they were changelings. It is a characteristic of many prophets. Every time you look at them, you see a different person, because a spiritual person changes as the present changes. They reflect the present as it changes. You change, reflect life, as the life around you changes, and it is changing all the time. Listen to the songs above or any early and later song back to back, and you will see what I mean. They are a completely different band. They looked and sounded different. I like to listen to the Sgt. Pepper's album and with the Beatles album back to back. It is a powerful and enlightening experience. A lot of bands and performers made the girls scream and go crazy. The Beatles did that too, plus they did a lot of things that were different than any other musicians or pop stars. Their music channels the truth and the life. Magic. They wrote 48 songs during the few weeks they stayed in India. Who else could do that? Many of those songs are on the White Album. Their music speeds up and slows down, you cannot dance to most of it. They use obscure instruments and odd sounds. They did some strange and different stuff. They would create great songs faster than anyone else has. Example, John Lennon got the idea for the song Instant Karma, rented a piano, and recorded it all in one day. Most people have to work on a song for a long time before they get it right, and it is rarely a hit. The Beatles did it all the time. 83. GlobalTruthProject.com. The song Instant Karma says most of what this book says in one song. When real music comes to me, the music of the spheres, the music that surpasses understanding, that has nothing to do with me, because I'm just the channel. The only joy for me is for it to be given to me, and to transcribe it like a medium. Those moments are what I live for. John Lennon. George Martin, their producer, said the Beatles created songs much faster than any of the other bands he worked with before or since. He said the songs and albums seemed to grow by themselves. I am not trying to say they did not work as hard as anyone else did, they did, but I am trying to show how they were more inspired than any other group of people. All a prophet is a person or group of people that can connect with something beyond their own minds for a period of time and channel or bring into the world something from beyond it that reveals the divine truth and life. Their songs changed, and they changed in a very short period of time. As their relationship with each other got worse, their music got better. After the Beatles broke up, two of them brought their wives, not musicians, into their new bands. Who else could or would do that? There was something behind them that could not be stopped, something that gave them a power to do things that no other band has done before or after. Another thing that made them different from any other band was that they were all equal. You knew all of them equally. When they spoke in interviews together, they were like one person. One would talk, but it did not matter who it was, it came from them all. This is really different, and shows the spiritual factor that sets them apart. Their solo stuff was also very spiritual. Example, from the John Lennon song Year Blues, "My mother was of the sky, my father was of the earth, but I am of the universe, and you know what it's worth." That is as clear as it gets. The songs, "Gimme Some Truth," "Mind Games," "Real Love," and "Imagine" also tell you where he was at. You will not understand everything at first, so do not try to even think about it, and you will get a little more each time you listen. Just remember they are talking to you when you are listening to them. It makes sense, you are the one listening, and no one else is. If the song were for someone else, it would not make sense. 84. GlobalTruthProject.com. Everything that comes to you is just for you. It is the same with this book. It is just for you when you are reading it. Their incredible success is the most obvious sign of how different they were. In the last 40 years, some other people have broken their sales records, but if they had the competition the Beatles had and the Beatles themselves for competition, they would not have done as well. The truth is, no one has even come close to the success of the Beatles. They may have been the most successful people that ever lived, because they were successful prophets in their own lifetime. Love has never been so successful. We were all on this ship in the 60s, our generation, a ship going to discover the new world, and the Beatles were in the crow's nest of that ship. John Lennon. The Apple, the transition could not have happened in the 60s, the time was not right. We needed computers and the internet. You would not be reading this book if it wasn't for the internet. The ultimate truth had to come on the internet for free, because books cost money and are not available to everyone. You would not be learning the truth now if it were not on the internet free. The apple is associated with every major step in mankind's evolution. The apple in the Garden of Eden was the creation of mankind, mindkind. The apple falling from the tree is when Newton realized the laws of motion and gave birth to calculus. Then there is Apple Records, the Beatles record company, and Apple Computers, the start of widespread computer use. Another coincidence? People say the apple in the Garden of Eden and in the Newton story never really happened, and it didn't. It does not matter if it really happened or not, because most people think it did. Why do they? Something put the apple at the major events in human evolution. If it did not really happen, it is even more magical and makes it an even greater sign of a divinity in our lives. The word apple means evil in Latin, and evil is live backwards. 85. GlobalTruthProject.com. Frozen in time, the time is right now, and the Beatles' music is still here exactly like it was then. Actually, it has been remastered and is even better. The Beatles have been frozen in time still young, waiting for us to evolve enough to hear what the music contains, just as other prophets and seers have been waiting on us to understand what they said and meant. The song Yesterday did not even make sense until now. They first sang it at the peak of their success. Why would they be yearning for the past or yesterday at the peak of their success? It makes total sense if you listen to it now. A lot of their songs only make sense now. The Beatles are for now. The divine magic is in all good music to some degree more or less, because it comes from beyond the mind and exists only in the present. The Beatles are just by far the biggest, most concentrated source of it. I like the music before the Beatles showed up, because it was a simpler world, and the music reflected it. That is why I like early Beatles songs like that first Beatles song I heard, From Me to You, Beatles 62 to 65. Some others are I Should Have Known Better, A Hard Day's Night, Thank You Girl and She's a Woman, Past Masters, There's a Place, Please Please Me, Hold Me Tight, with the Beatles, Tell Me Why and I Feel Fine, Beatles 62 to 65. The following are a few more Beatles songs with words that mean two different things, see if you can hear the hidden meanings. Hey Bulldog, Yellow Submarine Cry Baby Cry, The White Album Glass Onion, The White Album Lady Madonna, Beatles One Across the Universe, Let It Be Fool on the Hill, Take 4, Anthology 2 I'm Looking Through You, Rubber Soul Ask Me Why, Please, Please Me I'm Only Sleeping, Revolver Real Love, Anthology 2 Sexy Sadie, The White Album, You Won't See Me, Rubber Soul. Babies in Black, Beatles for Sale the Night Before, Help. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Sgt. Pepper's with a Little Help from My Friends, Sgt. Pepper's. 86. GlobalTruthProject.com. I do not listen to the Beatles' music to just listen to music. Their music is in its own category. I listen to the Beatles for the same reasons I read the Bible and other religious books. The Beatles are a part of my religion, along with golf, surfing, romance, hot rods, classic cars, boats, eating and everything else. Their music helps keep me in the present and on the spiritual path. The Beatles are just another thing that makes my religion more enjoyable than most others. My religion is the present and everything in it. The last line, in their last song medley, in the last album the Beatles released, Abbey Road, says it all. Golden slumbers, carry that weight, the end. It says, and in the end the love you take, is equal to the love you make. In other words, the more love you take from life or accept from life, the more you will be able to make or reflect back to people. It is the most important thing to do. People think it means, the more love you make, the more love you will take, but they have it backwards. You cannot make love, only God/life can make love. You can only let it in and reflect it back out. The more love you take, the more love you can make or reflect to other people. Remember, everything is backwards. I have heard the actual last words in a song they recorded was, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all good children go to heaven, which is also true. It is now the time to start listening to the Beatles' music with new ears. Not for entertainment, this time listen just for its spiritual value. Even if you do not like their music, it is easier to listen to them than to read religious books. It is a painless way to get a shot of truth every day. Listen to them to learn the truth, and you will be hearing them for the first time. Rock and roll, all rock and roll is made by young people for young people. What the kids of today have to realize is they will not be listening to music for old people, their parents' music. They will be listening to music by kids their age. George was just 15 when he joined the band. They started out as a teenage band. They wrote the best songs as teenagers and broke up in their 20s. The Beatles' music is made by young people for young people now and forever. It is more this generation's music than it was ours, because this generation will understand it. We did not, we just thought we did. 87. GlobalTruthProject.com. The time is right for it now. Wake up kids, it is all for you now. The kids of today have to realize, all rock and roll is their music. They have their new music and all the rock and roll that came before, because it was all made by young people their age. It is one of the reasons kids today have it better than any generation of kids that came before. They need to claim all their music. It is no coincidence that many radio stations play a show called Breakfast with the Beatles on Sunday mornings. Subconsciously, most people know there is something spiritual about them. John and George may have died physically, but they are still with us in spirit and truth and in song. Let's not wait for the last two to die before we wake up. Speaking on reincarnation in 1968, George Harrison said, "You go on being reincarnated until you reach the actual truth. Everything is for now, as I said earlier, everything that happened in the past was just to help us find the truth and the life now. It is not just the Beatles' music, it includes most great music. A good example is classical music. Growing up in the era of rock and roll, I have never appreciated classical music. When I woke up, I was amazed that I suddenly liked some classical music as much as rock and roll. The best example is Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. It contains the spirit of conquest, so it has been stolen and used by dictators and tyrants like Stalin and Hitler since it was written. It was perfect to inspire armies marching into battle, but Beethoven wrote it for the exact opposite purpose. Most people think it is just instrumental and has no lyrics, but actually it was written for a poem by the German poet Friedrich von Schiller called Ode to Joy. It is about mankind becoming one brotherhood. It was before its time, because it was impossible for mankind to become one until now. The music does inspire conquest, the conquest of the spirit. After you wake up, listen to it, and you will be astonished by how perfectly it embodies that conquest. Like Beatles songs, you will be hearing it for the first time. You can find many versions on YouTube. 88. GlobalTruthProject.com. Listening to Beatles music is a good way to share the present and the ultimate truth with people, because everyone can relate to it on their own level. Don't lie to children about Santa Claus, tell them the truth about the Beatles. Their true story is greater than any myth. In ancient Egypt, a beetle was the symbol for eternal life. Another coincidence? Living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. Strawberry fields forever. All you need is love. Actually, all you need is the truth. You need the truth first. True love only comes after you know the truth of life. All you need is love, of the truth. They lay it all out in the songs above. God is love. Love is everything, but the only way to receive and know everything is to realize that you are nothing. 89.